Hello friends, I'm Amanda Barr.
And I'm Rebecca Lou Brennan, and welcome to Dance Principles United, the podcast.
Together, we are passionate about helping studio owners with the business of running their studio.
Join us as we talk everything from marketing, systems, studio culture, motherhood, life, and everything in between.
This is the Dance Principles United podcast. Hey friends, and welcome to another episode of the Dance Principles United podcast. I thought I'd do hands there.
I know, I was going to say, they're very big hands.
I'm not sure why I just did jazz hands. I was excited.
No, I'm excited too. Excited. Should I do another shameless YouTube plug? If you want to see Amanda's giant jazz hands, no.
Let's not.
No, okay.
Let's not. But hey, we're here to chat about admin team today because we had a question on our broadcast channel from Beck, and Beck was asking about strategies to optimize your admin team. So we thought we'd jump into it today, jazz hands and all, to chat admin team because I know it's something you're super passionate about.
Absolutely, because we know that I'm all things numbers in dance studios, and we know that our biggest cost for dance studios is our staff. Mm-hmm. And it is, if we're not looking at it consistently, if we're not trying to optimize it, then it is an expense that can just sort of get away from us.
Absolutely.
And we've all been guilty of it.
Absolutely.
I know it happened to us over the years at certain points when you just sort of you're in that sort of phase of growth, or you're just, something's come up and you're going through that different season. And then you sort of pause for a sec. You're like, how much am I paying out? And you've got to start to think, is it worth what I'm paying out?
Yes. Absolutely. Or could I have that money in my pocket?
Yes.
Or how much are they taking out? Because there's nothing I hate to see more than studio owners who are resentful to their business or resentful to their staff because they're like, oh, I'm paying them so much money and I'm not getting anything for myself, or don't they know that I'm paying them more than me, or whatever it is. And that comes down to managing your staff well.
Yep.
And we have to take ownership of that.
Yes, without a doubt. And I think it's sometimes we're focusing specifically on admin today.
Yep.
And I think sometimes why that can get out of control a little bit more is because it's not as tangible as teaching a class. When we're employing our staff to teach classes, it's like, oh, well, this teacher teaches classes on a Monday and Tuesday, and they're really full classes. We can see that with our eye.
We can see the value. Yeah.
We can see the value in it really easily.
Yep.
And with the admin side of things, it can be, I guess, a little bit more, I'm not sure if abstract's the right word, but it is a little bit sometimes, if it's not set up properly especially, it's a little bit harder to see the results of that.
And you might not understand it as well. I think there's that as well, because if you are, especially a studio owner who is passionate about teaching, which is great, you might not understand the admin side and how long that takes. And then sometimes, you don't have that great ownership of it because, you're not that into it. Let's be honest. Sometimes it's just not your wheelhouse and it's not what lights you up. So you just go, oh, I'll just let someone else do it.
Yes, but I do think, I guess maybe to push back on that a little bit, I do think, especially as we're starting out and as your studio is sort of growing from the bottom up, I think you need to take on the bulk, if not all of the admin yourself. Absolutely. Up to a certain point in your studio. Where do you and people always ask what's the exact number? There isn't an exact number.
Yeah.
But what do you sort of feel is like?
Ooh, I think that's such a hard thing. I think that if you are capable of doing all the admin yourself, you should be doing that for a very large majority of the time. And it depends what the goal is. Is the goal to make more profit? Because working a bit harder gives you more profit.
Yes.
But, I don't know if I want to put a number on it as such, but, I think it really depends on what the goal of your studio is. Is it to, really provide a great lifestyle for you? If so, hold on to it for as long as possible.
Yes.
If, it's, you're in the middle of a busy season of life and the profit is not as important to you for whatever reason, well, then maybe it's time to, I think there's so many factors in it. I don't know. Is that a wishy-washy answer?
I think it's a little bit wishy-washy, but I do think the key is I see too many studio owners, because it doesn't light them up, they push it away too early.
Yeah.
And I think, and then they, like you said, start to get resentful and start to think, oh, why am I not making any money out of this, the thing that I'm pouring my heart and soul into? And sometimes it's really easy. The reason you're not making as much money as you want is because you're paying other people to do stuff that you could be doing yourself.
Absolutely. So let's talk about optimizing. Let's presume that they do have admin staff.
They've got to a level where it's like, okay, I've grown to this level and I know that if I need to push to the next level, that's how we always approached our admin staff, right? We, like, you sort of got to, what came first, the chicken or the egg type thing. Like, you get to a certain level and you're like, right, I know now to take that next step, I need to invest in a staff member to try and help me get to that next level.
Absolutely. And if you are there at the moment and you want to optimize your admin staff so that they're doing an incredible job for you, it's making it worth the while of paying them out. Let's talk about a couple of tips that we can give our studio owners to really help them make the most out of their staff. What would be your first tip around that?
Yeah, and I think it comes back to knowing what the jobs are yourself. And I think that comes from holding on to the tasks for as long as you can.
Yes.
And as you're doing it and as you're starting to think that we all get to that point where we're like, okay, I think I'm getting close to handing some of this stuff off.
Yeah.
So as you're doing that, start to systemize it. And when I say systemize, thankfully, like, building out systems in 2025 is so much easier than it used to be. We used to have to, like, scribble things down or write them out on
like a process,
on a Word document and things like that. My favorite tool, it's a free tool called Loom, LOOM.com. And it is a screen recording software that is super easy and super simple to use. And if you're starting to think, all right, I think I'm going to be getting some admin help soon, and you list out your tasks and you find the lower value ones, you're like, right, I'm going to be handing off first the client inquiries.
Yeah.
You do a screen recording of you getting how you get back to client inquiries.
Yes.
Click stop on the recording, give it a name, and put it in the folder.
Yeah, absolutely. And what the process is and what you do. And I think that that's so important, but also knowing how long it takes you.
Yes, without a doubt.
So, I think it's important to kind of know how to do it before you hand it off. You need to have a good understanding of what you're asking them to do and how long it takes you. So for the example of an inquiry, right?
Yep.
An inquiry, it's a little bit of a harder thing because it's not.
Yeah, I don't think it's looking at one inquiry. I think it's more you looking at how long do you spend
on inquiries
each day.
Each day, for example. Yeah, and you might go, hey, I normally get, 4 to 5 inquiries a week, for example.
Yeah.
I normally spend half an hour a day chasing these or, whatever it is, right? So therefore, that's how long I'm allocating a staff member for. You might allocate them a little bit longer. Let's talk about another task that's a little bit more tangible, for example, doing the accounts, right? That's a really good one because it's sort of a more clear cut. I would be actually timing yourself doing the accounts and going, okay, so I do the accounts weekly or whatever it is, termly or whatever it is for you, right? And it takes me 38 minutes generally to do it, like whatever it is. And then go, okay, so someone else that hasn't done it for as long, it might take them 45 minutes.
To start with.
To start with, absolutely. And you've got the system down and you've written down how to do it. So I think that's really important because I think too often we go,
I need admin help.
I need admin help. How many hours should I get them for? Maybe about 10. And there's no rhyme or reason. So instead they just pluck a number out of thin air, and I've done it too, pluck a number out of thin air of like, I think I need about 10 hours admin help a week, rather than going, hey, I want them to do this task, which generally takes this amount of time, this task, which generally takes this amount of time, and actually adding it up and finding that number from substance.
And do you know what I think is really powerful about doing that? And I think it's something that we'd probably find if we did it ourselves, is that too often we've all, like I said, we're all guilty of it. You sit there and you think, gosh, I've been busy today. And then you're like, was I?
What did I do?
Yeah, what did I do? But if you've actually taken the time to sit down, because you can think, I've just been go all day. But if you are disciplined about writing down those tasks, because you might be thinking, I definitely need someone for at least 15 hours a week.
Yeah.
But when you've been disciplined for a 5-day period and written down all those tasks, you're like, oh, shit,
Wait.
That was only 3 hours.
It was not 15 hours. The other time I must have been distracted on Facebook, and then I opened up the Iconic and did some maybe some Amazon.
I was going to say, are you projecting here? Or?
Do you know what I mean? But I think that that's so important as well. So tip number 1 is understanding the tasks that you're going to give someone, systemising them and actually knowing approximately how long they take and writing a really good list on it.
Yep.
And that kind of comes then into our next tip, which is like creating KPIs around it, right?
Yes.
Do you want to explain what a KPI is?
Yeah. So like I said, like when we have, when we're employing a teacher to teach a class, we, without knowing it, you guys all know what the KPIs around, like the key performance indicators around that class is. It's that kids are having a great time. The class is, the dance is looking great. Their technique's improving and the class is growing. Yeah, you're not losing kids out of the class and it's actually growing.
Yep.
Like they're just, you can see that.
And you don't need to like sit there and write it down. Like
it's a good idea too, but you just do that naturally,
you just
right?
know that, yeah.
You know when a teacher is doing a good job in their class.
Yep.
However, with our admin team, too often we're just like, oh, thank God I've got rid of this admin shit.
I don't need to do the accounts. I don't need to answer the emails anymore. Whatever.
There we go.
Yeah.
And we tune out to it. And we see it time and time again, not just in dance studios, but in like so many other small businesses. And it's a recipe. It's not setting that team member up for success.
No.
And when you're not setting them up for success, then you're not going to get the output that you need. You're going to end up wasting a lot of hours, which costs you a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And it's money that could be in your pocket. And you're going to get staff members that potentially aren't as engaged, which isn't good for you long term either.
No. So what's an example of a KPI that we should be setting up for our admin staff?
So I think a key one is, if you're talking about, the 2 examples we talked about were like leads, so like those inquiries and also accounts. So let's look at what it might be in those ones. So if it was around your leads, then you would be looking at something like, how many of your inquiries that come in do you, number 1, book in for a trial? And then number 2, how many of them enroll? Like they're just 2 really easy KPIs. And when we say like, and then having some sort of system in place to be able to think, okay, when I say inquiries, I mean everybody that Facebook DMs, Instagram DMs, sends a website contact form. Yeah. So, and you might not have that number to start with, and that's okay as well, because we've all got to start somewhere. And most of the studios we start working with don't have that number as well.
Absolutely not.
So start it now, and start to look at, okay, I have in the last month or last week, I had 4 inquiries, 1 of them booked a trial, and 1 of them enrolled. So I had 25% book a trial, and out of like that means 25% enrolled as well. And then you look, so then you've got the number for 1 week. Then you collect that number the next week and the next week. And so then you can start to build a picture of what it looks like over a month, a term, a year. And that gives you like a benchmark for that staff member to then just be better at. Yeah.
And to keep improving. Maybe it's not even a goal to start with. It's just like, let's keep getting better.
Exactly. It's here's where we are.
Yeah.
And your job is to continually get this number better.
Most definitely.
So it's like I said, they're just 2 really easy ones if you're starting out around those inquiries that are coming in. What percentage of them do I book in for a trial? What percentage of them end up actually enrolling?
Yeah, that's a great thing, especially if that's, and obviously this depends on what your admin person's role is inside your business. And I think that's really important. But if it's accounts, what would be a KPI that we could set around doing the accounts? Is it getting it in a certain time frame? What is it?
So I think like depending on whether you are a studio that does direct debit or you're a studio that does the term invoices, for example, still, it might look a little bit different. But let's say that you were still doing the term invoices and you had fees were due by the end of week 2 or whatever your due date is, then the first KPI would be what percentage of accounts are paid on time. And again, this is where it's at and we're just going to try and improve from here. And then it's what percentage of accounts are still outstanding after end of week 3. End of week 4.
Okay.
And so you just keep tracking that number all the way through. And then how much is outstanding at the end of a term? And so obviously the other, we talked about the inquiries one, they're all numbers we want to keep going up. the amount outstanding is a number we want to keep coming, we want to get tracked down.
Absolutely. So having clear goals and targets for your admin staff is definitely our tip number 2 on how to really optimize, this and set them up for success, right?
Yes. Have them report to you every week.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say is your next thing is actually getting together with them weekly, right?
Yes, because I think it's something that I hear all the time, studio owners say, I just don't want to micromanage them, or I worry that I'm checking up on them too much. And I think that's a complete fallacy. I think our staff want to do the right thing by us.
Yes.
They don't want to let us down. And it's human nature that if you're not going to get checked on something, you let it go.
Yeah.
But if you know that every Monday I'm going to be reporting my numbers to Amanda.
And that could just be them sending you an email.
Yes.
That could be what it is.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a
finding
formal,
the number themselves and sending you an email. That might be all it is, or sending you a message or whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
But it's holding them accountable to those numbers, I think, is really important. However, I'm saying that, but I do think the other way to really optimize your admin team is good training and constant communication with them, right?
Yeah.
Because I think too often we're like, oh yeah, we've got our admin person. I'm not sure what she does all day. Have we heard that before? Your eyes going.
Yep.
Not really sure what she does. I think she's really busy. Yeah. But have you actually sat down and asked and said, hey, I just want to check in that we're really using your time as effectively as possible.
That you're adding great value to the business.
Absolutely. Can you tell me about the tasks you did today? And do you have capacity for more tasks today, or are you at your limit? Actually asking that question.
Yeah.
Because I think too often we're I don't want to ask them to do anything else. Totally me. Because we're a nice person and we're don't want to ask them to do anything else because, I think they're so busy. But have you asked them if they're busy? Have you asked them if they can do more, or what would they like to do more? And I think the power of sitting down with them for a 10-minute catch-up every week is really, really important, and something that so many people don't do.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, asking those sorts of questions and asking what I did, you can even within that extend it out to is there anything you'd love to work on for the business? Is there anything you see that you could do to help the studio grow? And I think that can be a really powerful way to see if they are the right kind of person as well, because the wrong kind of person, and we've all hired them, the wrong kind of person is happy to sit there
and not do anything
and cruise by doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
But the right kind of person is bored when they don't get enough tasks to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think it can be a massive catch-22. Like you said, sometimes we're scared of asking them, have you got enough to do, out of fear of them having a conniption and telling you how busy they are and they couldn't possibly read one more email because they're so busy. But the sad thing is sometimes we see good staff members leave a business because they don't see that there's anywhere for them to grow. They don't feel like they're being challenged enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking to, I forget who it was the other day we were talking to, but they said one of their staff members that they found out too late was absolutely hopeless, was ending up sitting there knitting at her desk. Right? And they didn't find out for too long, but they claimed that they didn't have anything to do, but then when they dug into it, they had so much to do that they just couldn't do and weren't getting done.
Yeah.
And avoided the tasks.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Interesting, right? So regularly checking in with them, asking how they're doing, setting them up for success, asking them, hey, how are you going with that? How can I help? By the way, I noticed that, that number, that KPI number that we set is, it's not going the right way that we want it to. How can I help with that? Can we dive into that?
Yes.
And I think that's a really big thing, and consistently training them. It doesn't need to be a horrible, mean, you're in trouble thing, but it could be just hey, I noticed we didn't enroll that kid that came to the trial last week. Can we talk about that? Let's see what the follow-up was. How many times did you call them? And can I read the email that you sent through? And how can we make this better for next time?
Yeah.
And I think we're often so scared to do that with our admin team. And we just, I don't know, I just see it as a big thing. So if that's something that you get scared about, today's the day to change it.
Yes.
Get in and chat to them. They work for you. They're there to set you up for success, but you have to really be a leader in that situation, right?
Exactly. I think there's, difference between I guess leading and managing is like how I sort of think about it. Like I think too often we think of that managing thing as like that sort of like telling them what they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
But if you're there, and Beck's huge on this and so good at it, it's like, how can I support you?
Yeah.
How can I help? It's not why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you? It's like, how can we help you be better at this?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to do better. Let's all help each other. What can I do? What kind of training do you need to be better? What can I do to set you up for success? Let's look at it together and do it together so that we can be faster on it. So I think that's really important, is really understanding what your staff are doing, that the numbers are going in the right direction, and checking in with them regularly and training with them regularly to make sure they're having the most success possible, right?
Yeah, and I think like going on to like the next part of it, I think it's just super important is making sure that you've got the right person for the job. And this is a mistake that we see so many studio owners make, knowing that admin itself is a completely different skill set to being a great teacher.
Absolutely.
And whilst, yes, there are some people out there that have the skill sets for both, it is quite rare. And yes, if you have the unicorn, amazing. But just because they are a great teacher and staff member doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be a great admin staff member. And we've seen it happen too many times that it ends up souring a relationship so much that you lose a great teacher because you've had to consistently pull them up on the admin side of things because we put them in a role that they weren't going to be successful at.
Yeah, which is tricky.
Yeah. And I think the one other thing that sort of ties in with that as well is making sure that when you do start to build out an admin team or optimize, like to help you optimize, that you start with less hours and build up. Rather than starting out with, think, I've got to get somebody in for 20 hours a week or 25 hours a week and have them not enough things to do. I think it's important that we, like you said, going back to that task audit thing and starting out at a certain level and then building out from there.
Yeah, great tips. Well, we hope that this helped you. Thanks so much to Beck who wrote in asking for this topic. We so appreciate it. Not our Beck, a different Beck, just to be confusing. But we really hope that you are starting to think about how can I optimize my team? And it's a great time to think now for 2026 and setting yourself up for success and your team up for success so that they are working, to their best capacity for you. And, I think that's so, so important, right?
Yep, without a doubt. Thanks so much for listening as always, guys. And we would love you to give us a subscribe and a like. And please drop us a comment below because we love hearing what you find valuable, and because this podcast is all about helping dance studio owners like you. So let us know what you think and what else you'd like to hear.
Thanks, friends. Bye. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Dance Principles United podcast. If you'd love to learn more from us, we have a special offer just for our podcast listeners. Go to the link in the show notes right now to get 2 weeks free in Dance Principles United Tribe. We would love to see you there.